The SkyViper hover racer is in many ways almost the exact same drone as the S1700. It has about the same motors, it's about the same size, and it overall handles about the same way as the S1700. The big difference is the added beacons and racing app feature SkyViper included in the package. It has the auto launch, auto hover, uses JST connector, which is great. You can see that, there you go. So that's going to fit a lot of different kinds of batteries. The biggest difference physically is the size of the quads. The hover racer is quite a bit bigger. It's got longer arms. It has more of a rectangular shape to it versus the S1700. Let me flip that around here. Now, something you may notice right away is I've changed the prop. Okay, so the S1700 has longer props in stock form, which I've moved over to the hover racer. And my main reason for that was I felt like these triple bladed shorter props weren't putting down power like I wanted. I felt like these, especially when you dropped altitude and when you needed to recover, they didn't recover as well. It seemed like, and I tested it quite a bit on my S1700, and I would drop altitude, and then when I tried to recover by giving a little power, it wouldn't be able to generate enough downforce to keep from just falling flat. So I definitely believe the tri-bladed props on this quad for the hover racer were not the best idea. I think it's a good quad. It's okay in stock form, but I think it's definitely better when you put longer two-bladed props on it. And I was just lucky enough to have an S1700 spare blades lying around, and so I used them. Just to go over the features a little bit more, you get a larger battery for this. You get a 650 milliamp battery, which is a nice upgrade over the smaller battery milliamp hour that you get on the stock S1700. But it fits in there just like that, and then you plug it in right here. I can do this all in camera. Okay, and then these are the actually only active LEDs that I can see on this quad. That maybe more light up when you're using the racing app, but I have yet to see that happen. So then I'm going to bind up real quick. Okay, so I'm bound, and I like these LEDs. A lot of LEDs, I don't see the point in really having LEDs for flying at night. I really, I don't get it, but I like these because it gives it that kind of a pro-style race quad, dual exhaust kind of look. It's cool, and I like how it has a body. I mean, to me, it's important to have a body on a quad. It gives it personality. And so I'm going to switch over to manual mode. Give it a little power. Yeah, it wants to go. It's a good quad. It's what you would expect from basically your standard brushed quad setup. It's got its limitations. It doesn't have acro mode. Let's weigh it here. So I'm going to weigh it including its stock battery. I feel like that's an important stat. Let's see what we get here. So including stock battery, you're looking at 101 grams. And of course that's using the bigger S1700 props. So that affects it a little bit. Now, what's been an issue, I believe, for this quad, first off, I bought this quad for $25 in February. Well, it may have been March on Amazon. Yeah, it was March. So they had marked it down drastically out of the holiday season. And I'm pretty sure it's because they just asked too much for it. The biggest issue with the whole racing app feature of it is every video I've watched, it just cracks me up talking about it. Every video I've watched, nobody has another one of these racers to race against. They'll demonstrate the beacons and the app and all that, and it's neat, but nobody ever has another quad to another hover racer to compare it against. And I don't know, it's just kind of funny to me. But anyway, so you get a good quad. Unfortunately, if you pay top dollar, like around 75 bucks, I feel like you definitely want to only do it if you've got somebody to race against, and otherwise, there's really not much point in it. I will say, this module right here, this contains a whole bunch of sensors that if you kind of look close, you can see these sensors all around it, and it's made for detecting those beacons. But yeah, since I didn't use it, I decided, oh, I'm just going to take it off. Well, the problem is this whole module provides structural integrity to these arms. So once you pop these screws, these 4 screws, you pull this module off, these arms are going to vibrate quite a bit, unfortunately. And it'll still fly, but you definitely don't want to just take it off. It's not the best way to do it. I would say if you're really obsessed over it and you want to just get rid of it, this whole piece right here, once you pull it off, I weighed it at 11 grams. 11 grams for this grade of quad isn't such a big deal, but if you're a pro, if you're moving into the intermediate area, maybe 11 grams is too much weight for you. But if you're getting that picky about weight, maybe this isn't the right quad for you anyway. I really like how they put a body on it. Again, it's more weight, but come on, I mean, it adds a lot of personality to the quad. You know, just imagine a Mustang or a Camaro that doesn't have a body on it. They just took the whole shell off because the body adds too much weight. We can't have it. Well, now is it a Mustang or a Camaro? Is it iconic? Does it look like a Corvette? I mean, the body to me should be a major focal point, even if they have to use a different type of material. I think that light plastic material they make Halloween masks out of, that to me would be a very ideal type of quad body material because of how light it is. But yeah, as far as the quad itself, if you can get it cheaper than the S1700, then, you know, by all means go for it. Just go ahead and get it. But I do feel like it is a bit better quad in terms of its potential. But what you get in stock form, I don't feel like the tri-blades are really a good idea for it. I've modified it to put a FPV camera on it. I've FPV'd off of it. Something you want to watch out for, though, when you're flying, if you do FPV or if you're flying these quads in general, generally if you're flying line of sight, it's not going to be an issue. But when you hold this controller, it's using this kind of Wi-Fi signal that I'm not a fan of. But anyway, it seems to project a signal in a wide cone in front of the transmitter. So wherever you're pointed is where you want to make sure that your quad is in relation to the controller. Because I've flown it in FPV, every time I fly it behind my head by maybe 40 or 50 feet, I always lose signal every time. So I would definitely say if you're kind of like going into the FPV and you want to try doing that, you want to make sure when you're flying it that you're always keeping it out in front of you. Make sure that your controller is pointed towards the general direction of the quad, because sometimes, yeah, it will lose signal if it goes behind you. Range on it is about 100 feet. I wouldn't attempt more than 100 feet on this quad. I've seen some videos about people where they try taking apart this controller and adding like some really interesting mods. Like one guy put a wire on it. Somebody else put a what do you call that? A Wi-Fi antenna on it, just like on a Wi-Fi router. He stuck the antenna on it, and I haven't seen anybody actually go out and verify whether any of these mods work. Like, I mean, it's simple to do. Just take it out into a field and use Google Maps to actually get an actual measurement of how far you flew before you lost signal. But I mean, personally, I would just say about 100 feet, which you can kind of eyeball. I've flown it pretty far indoors. I would say it seems to retain signal better indoors than outdoors, but you'd have to have a pretty big area to fly it over 100 feet indoors. But anyway, that's really all I've got. I feel like overall the S1700, if you can get it $10 cheaper than this quad, it's the better quad to use. I don't recommend these props, honestly, but if you have the option of changing the props out, I would. It'll fly using these stock props, but you know, like these prop guards, they came off right away. And by the way, if you want to take the prop guards off, you're going to have a little bit of a fight on your hands because they're on there pretty good. I wound up just using a Dremel tool, and I just sheared them off around the edges. I was like, I lost my patience trying to take them off. But yeah, overall, I mean, I would say it's a good quad. I just think if you're paying full price for it, it's not a good idea. And finally, to wrap up, I do have one big suggestion for the people at SkyViper. If you want to get quad racing into the hands of the average Walmart shopper, I would suggest, instead of doing the beacons and the apps and all that stuff that raise the cost of this quad, just take I mean this quad retails for about the same price as the S1700. So why not, if you're trying to get more quads in people's hands and get them racing, just put 2 quads in one box. 2 quads, 2 controllers, set them up to be on separate frequencies, all that good stuff, so there's no issues with that. And just go that way. I mean, any layperson can make a racing course. We don't need high-tech beacons to do it. It was a neat idea, but I think it jacked up the price of the quad too much. But anyway, so my definite suggestion there is pack several quads in one box, several controllers, all you need to get started, so when the kids unwrap that present on Christmas Day or their birthday or whatever, they've got several quads. They can just get out of the box, charge up, and fly and have fun. And that's the whole point of the hobby. If you want to promote racing in any kind of way at a low level, then I would definitely say just put some cheap quads in a box. Keep the quality there, but you can definitely afford to cut a few features and get several quads in one box for under $100 and give people something fun to do. I think that's a better way of going about it. But anyway, that was all I got, and thanks for watching.